Welcome back to another episode of Living with FASD, Candid Conversations with Patti Kasper, and I am your host. Today's episode features Kokeb McDonald, a pediatric occupational therapist with over 20 years of experience. She's the founder of Reflex Integration Through Play. She is an author of a best-selling series of books by that same title, Reflex Integration Through Play. She has training courses and certificate programs, working not only with occupational therapists, but other providers, including parents and teachers. So today's conversation is fascinating. I hope you will enjoy it as much as I did. Welcome, Kokeb McDonald, to Living with FASD, Candid Conversations with Patti Kasper. I am excited to have you on the show. Everybody, Kokeb is fantastic. She has her own podcast, and I will put a link to her channel in the show notes, so be looking for that. But good morning and welcome to you. I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you so much for the invite and reaching out.
Yeah. So we have started focusing on the developmental pieces of FASD, the neurological pieces, and really lately honing in on the role of reflexes. So often with FASD, the misunderstandings come because most of the world believes that all behavior is chosen,
Mm,
which you and I both know that's not the case. A lot of the time, our behavior is reflexive. It's triggered in the deep brain, and it's all about protection. So let's talk about that a little bit. First of all, what got you interested in this specialty within the field of occupational therapy?
Oh, good question. Yes. Once I became a therapist, an OT, and I specialized in pediatric. And when I was creating treatment plans for the kids I was working with, there was a lot of more like an overwhelm and not understanding where to begin. And I didn't understand the why behind some of my students or the kids I was working with have difficulty completing a task or doing functional skill. And we do use play as part of our therapy,
Yeah.
but my play therapy, treatment planning was not structured. I'm just doing activities
Mhm.
without ability to track what I'm looking at. So there are times I'm like, the child improved, but I cannot tell what was happening. And it got me thinking that I'm like, it has to be something else that we're
Yeah.
missing, and we need to research. This was like 2005 or so. That's a while back.
Let
And
me
then,
just say that insatiable curiosity is the secret to relationships with anyone with FASD. And I'm so glad that was a key ingredient to your professional growth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just researching. It was me and my other coworker, I remember, in clinic were like researching development, this, gross motor, fine motor. There was at that point, it was really hard to find anything. So
Mhm.
finally it popped up, the Moscadova work. She was still not moved. She didn't move to the States back then. She will travel. So luckily she traveled to do a session in California. This is Moscadova and work. And the first time I went to one of the training and I realized the foundation. I was looking at like we need to have something to start with. We
Yeah.
can't just blindly do all these activities and hoping something stick. Treatment planning was not structured. I'm not saying like we need to have a very standardized way of thinking for everything. We need to
Right.
do play-based, but at least then we need to know what we're
Yeah.
doing,
You need a system,
Yeah, I
right?
needed a system,
Yeah.
and there was nothing, a system that I was kind of can refer to. So I think that made sense, and I realized, oh, the foundation, this is where naturally movement like coded in our body.
Hmm.
And then when the brain starts to develop, it start become dormant and more next level development happens. So I had to really go back and learn the movement and learn how each sensory trigger makes part of our body move and what are the sensory response that we have. And in that way I can start to train, my brain, my eyes, my clinical skill and observing
Hmm.
kids. And that's how it started. And then I did, oh, partly as being a parent. So I used it as my session and my session
Your
treatment
kids are
plan.
your guinea pigs.
Yeah, so this is what changed to what RITP, Reflex Integration Therapy, was developed, and I started writing my books, is when I became a parent, and now I experienced the parent point of view of doing
Yeah.
a home program. Because as a therapist, as a single young therapist who you don't have an idea of what to be a parent and how your time is
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
short, that I expected all my clients to do these very intensive home programs and wondering like, why didn't you do that?
Yeah.
Don't you love your kid?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
I
then,
used to get a lot of pushback. I'm very typical, in social work.
yeah,
There's because social work is one of those jobs. You get out of college and you start working.
yeah.
And all these very seasoned parents are like, well, what the heck do you know? Where are your kids?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it helped me because I wanted to do those intensive work with
Yeah.
my own child. I'm trained. I know the how it works. And I barely got like it was
Yeah.
a battle to get 5 to 10 minutes. So and I had to rethink. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
parents are so overwhelmed
Yeah.
and I need to create something that they can do in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
How can we embed
Yeah.
it? How can we make so and then of course I injured my back and my neck and I
Oh,
couldn't see clients. So I switched to like instead of doing that on my treatment, I'm like, I'm gonna create these whatever tools that I would have
yeah.
used for myself. I'm just gonna start
You
creating
are
it.
a
But
woman after my own heart. You don't let things stop you. You just refocus a little bit.
yeah, I mean, it ended up helping a bunch of other people
Yeah.
and it put me in a different kind of trajectory that I didn't expect. And
Yeah.
now I get to work with a lot of therapists worldwide and help them build their clinic and give them
Hmm.
treatment plan. I just love it. I love it that people we use it and then they get result.
Yeah.
And it's parent friendly. The books at least are parent friendly. And inside the program, we train our therapists how actually to screen and observe and
Yeah.
create a treatment plan. But
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how it kind of evolved from learning about it, using it on my own, and then later on creating a tool for others.
Okay. So you mentioned something curious a few minutes ago, about you had to learn how to observe.
Yes.
And I think that's true no matter what the relationship is, whether it's parent-child or between spouses or, even employers and employees. You have to learn to observe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So as it takes skill, it takes time. So even in our program, we have like right now we have a 6 months program. So we train our therapists how to observe how the body moves. So our therapist, if it's a clinical therapist, you need to know what are you working on? Are
Hmm.
you working on the body? Okay, you need to know how the body moves. What does functional movement look like? If you're working on a task or functional skill, you need to understand what you're asking the body to do
Hmm.
and what is the movement efficiency look like. If I'm asking you, to pick up your phone and lift it to do this, what needs to move?
Hmm.
So if I'm doing this, if I'm like having other like movement pattern, it's not efficient. So it helps you understand, okay, what part of the body I'm asking it to move?
Yeah.
And then understanding to observe developmental progression, understanding what developmental progression look like, developmental milestone for a parent, for instance. There are different charts that they can follow with ease to understand what are the developmental progression and their body moving through growth. That's
Yeah.
actually part of an integration,
Yeah.
a sign for some reflex integration if they're looking at it from a different angle.
Yeah. Now
So we,
with FASD, we often see dysmaturity. At least, well, that's a label that is on its way out because
hmm,
dis anything is no longer accepted, right? So, but the developmental time frame is much delayed
yeah.
compared to the chronological age. Is that also part of what you train your therapists and the parents who sign up for your programs about is
Yes, if
how to see where kids really are developmentally as opposed to where they're supposed to be.
Yes. So we have some parents going through our certification program. If they do go through the full training, yes, that we will go through the developmental progression
Hmm.
and then understanding that. And you need to understand that. You need to understand how the body functionally moves, meaning like how understanding different joints. What are
Hmm.
the movement? What is it? Flexion, extension? What are we expecting, right? So,
Yeah.
what does fluid movement look like? And then also understanding the different these primitive reflex patterns
Hmm.
trigger a certain motor response, meaning like if you trigger this reflex and if visually can see these reflex patterns, what are the movement patterns that
Hmm.
accompanies this sensory trigger? So learning to identify that in children and then you kind of have to meld it together to understand, okay, when I'm asking him to do that specific activity, I see these movement patterns. You don't, not just saying like, oh, he is clumsy, disorganized. Those are just a blanket statement that doesn't
Yeah.
give me anything.
Yeah.
And then if as a therapist, and then what? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like what specifically, if you wanted to say, I'm gonna work on this child's coordination, where are
Mm.
you gonna start? So
I'm
that's how
thinking
I'm thinking about it.
I'm thinking back to a child I worked with for over a year. I love that little guy. He was a massive challenge to his family. Some doctors would hear, yeah, FASD, that very well could be. It's not officially confirmed, but it kind of makes sense. But they had no idea what to do with it. But this little guy had no brakes.
Mm.
So he would start running down the hall and the wall at the end would stop him.
Yeah.
Do you see that often?
Yeah, with some kids. Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be partly motor planning, it can be vision,
Mhm.
it can be not might be like a delay too
Mhm.
for them to respond. So it can be partly coordination too, but you want to so that is one symptom. So usually clients will come to us with all these symptoms. So the way I look at symptoms is like smoke. That's my
Mhm.
analogy. So smoke is a symptom of there's fire somewhere,
Right, right,
right? So I can't chase the smoke because it can go everywhere and it
right,
could look like it came from anything.
right.
So the trick will be is find
Find a
find
fire.
find the fire
Yeah.
and it might not be like we're not saying again I will say it like we're not saying this is the cause of the problem, we're saying start your treatment here.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we'd be like just solve this. If there's a leak in the water somewhere, you can't chase
Mhm.
the water, you go
Right,
back, where's the
right.
leak?
Yeah.
So it's almost creating a treatment plan. That was always been my goal is create a treatment plan that's trackable, measurable, and repeatable. Can I
Mhm.
measure it? Can I track it? Can I view it? Can I observe it?
Yeah,
Can I repeat it? Can I explain it?
yeah.
And then if you have something like that, you have a good treatment plan because you're actually measuring it, observing it. Because if you measure it, sometimes you measure it like your treatment plan is horrible. You need to switch. That's fine. That's the result
Yeah,
that it's not
yeah.
working. But it has to be something tangible
Mhm.
so you can work on because what you want for the brain is a lot of repetition for the brain to do. So we want to be able to increase the repetition. It's not going to be the therapist doing it 5 times a week. It's going to be the parent or the
Yeah,
another caregiver, or it's going to be the teacher. It's going to be another person.
yeah, yeah.
So we have to be able at least to give few things for the parents to do because
Mhm.
kid you not, they will improve. Like just giving them the few things while the therapist is still doing the weekly or
Mhm.
biweekly or twice a week session. If you have like a carryover with the parent, then you have increase.
Yeah, yeah. Homework is always helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
Okay.
exercise. Like you work out once a week or once every month, or do you work out 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Same thing.
What are some common primitive reflexes that might raise their ugly head later in life when you wouldn't expect?
There's see the reflexes all work together. Um, but the common ones people can easily observe and familiar with would be the ATNR. It's easier to screen for some too because it's very visible.
What does
Uh,
that stand for?
it's asymmetrical tonic neck reflex.
Okay.
So it almost divides the right and left side of your body. So the head
Okay.
turns to one side. So the side the head turns towards will extend, and the
Hmm.
opposite side will flex. So part of your body going opposite. One time.
Okay.
So divide. It's almost dividing the body right and left.
Yeah.
So that's just one. It's better. It doesn't work alone. It works with a lot of other reflex to
And
facilitate
I'm
development.
looking at my face in the monitor and noticing a slight tilt.
Now you're assessing yourself. It's
Uh,
adults needs to work on this. I work on this too. Like, oh, my own, especially if you injure yourself. I know we talked about that earlier too. Like it's possible that it's they're there. They don't go away. They stay dormant. They're
hmm
just our foundational reflex patterns that helps us with more coordination. So they
hmm
stay there.
hmm
All you need on top of it is, brain body connection, myelination, and maturity needs
hmm
to happen. So for instance, with that reflex, that as ATNR or the STNR, STNR is known for the learning reflex, even in classroom, but especially
So
kids
that's
coordination.
mostly the same name, but symmetrical instead of
Yes.
asymmetrical, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of his symmetrical. So asymmetrical would be, think about it like my right and left side are working opposite. The
Okay.
symmetrical, like with this STNR, my upper body, my arms will be working together and my legs will
Okay.
be working together, but they are opposite of each other.
Okay. That sounds like movements involved in walking.
Can be with
Kind of like
the
because
STN,
our
this,
arms tend to
yeah,
be opposite of our legs, but
uh-huh.
it's everything flows together.
Yeah, so then
Yeah.
we assess with what we teach our therapists is we assess walking, we assess running, we assess gait, right? So like, do they walk like this or, with their toes up? Like there's a reason the body compensate.
hmm
So it's learning how to observe and do they have the right and left side? Do they, reach, can be able to reach and touch the opposite knee, crossing the midline. If they having when they're crawling, can they stay on all fours? All that developmentally is there. And naturally,
hmm
developmentally is there if the child goes through
Yeah.
the natural progression and the reflexes are there. The reflexes are part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mind wandered for just a second when, when you said gait. My audience knows that my mother has Lewy body dementia.
Mm,
When she moved with us, she had mild cognitive impairment, right? SCI, well on its way to dementia, but not considered to be there yet, which I think was wrong. But when I took her to a neurologist, after the few minutes of chit chat about symptomatology, he had her walk down the hallway and said, okay, she's got Lewy body
mm.
just that fast based on her walk and her gait.
Their gait.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
She had the shuffle that comes with Parkinson's, which is a big part of Lewy. So they're basically the same. So
yeah,
just depends what comes first, the motor or the cognitive.
the cognitive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually the more you can work on the motor, what we do with kids too, as for instance, the academic as higher level functioning or
hmm
reasoning, learning is more of a frontal lobe, higher level
Right.
functioning.
Right.
What we try to do was is doing a lot of movement because movement you can access the brain with
Mhm.
movement. Like that's why if you see infants and babies, they're constantly moving.
Yeah, they are.
That's nature
Yeah.
working.
Yeah.
So that's why we need to give them access to movement, floor time, and all those kind of things. And you see that higher level functioning develops later.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean that it's not developing at that time. It is developing,
Yeah.
right? So if you're
That
like working,
immediately made me curious. What about culturally, the cultures that really can confine their infants? What does
yeah,
that do to development?
it will affect.
Uh-huh.
I think what you want is extra movement naturally on the
Mm-hmm.
floor, kids
Mm-hmm.
having access to movement, touch,
Mm-hmm.
and crawling, rolling, kicking.
Yeah.
They do that a lot
Yeah.
naturally. For us, it's cute, right? It's like babies, but you can, and even cross-culturally, you have infants in any stage, and they will act the same
Yeah.
because you see that's nature
Right.
way of developing. And we want to have, I mean, and give them access to that.
Yeah.
And, but then restraining them will make an impact
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
them. But if you see now more and more people are stopping to swaddle too much, even
Mm-hmm.
in in hospital, like babies. I don't know if you've seen one of those. They put them in their tummy, and you see like a 2 days old, and the baby's trying to creep. The infant is creeping
I
because
have not seen
those are
that.
just
Yeah.
even when they were born, the same like right when they're born, natural healthy
Mm-hmm.
birthing, the infant will creep.
Yeah.
And the birthing process is reflex integration is happening. The baby actually help with
The
the
delivery.
birthing process.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a
All
guest
come together.
on. I had a guest on not too long ago that said the baby is laboring alongside his or her
Mhm.
mom. Yeah.
Those are the healthiest ones are when they do that. Sometimes, there will be complication and difficulty, but and then they latch, right? Latching
Mm-hmm.
and then sucking and swallowing, those are reflex.
Yeah.
So it's nature's way of helping the infant survive the first year for sure, because
Yeah.
without the reflex, it will not survive. It's a reflex that helps them take the first breath, the part of the moral reflex. It's
Yeah.
the reflex that helps them find the mouth latch, close the
Yeah.
mouth, and eat. And
Yeah.
imagine
And
if that wasn't a reflex, how can they survive?
and that is often impaired with babies that have been exposed to alcohol.
Yeah.
Who often have failure to thrive.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is the challenge. But then knowing, so the beauty of, the parents are listening, for whatever reason, the baby is already born, right? So has a challenge and delayed. But the beauty of how the brain works is that we still don't know fully its power or how
Mhm.
fully it works. But the beauty of it is like until probably we die, the brain still learns.
Yes.
Still, there's plasticity, there's
Yeah.
growth. So it's never too late to work on it.
Yeah.
That's why we learn new things. We, meet new people like this, and then
Hmm.
we remember that is the brain. Otherwise, you know, we can't continue to survive. It's not safe
Right.
even for us to do that, right? So,
Right.
but to remember that some kids will take them if they have, failure to thrive. That's saying like, okay, they're struggling, right?
Hmm.
So, but their intervention or the treatment plan still will be effective. It's just we just have to know that it might take them a bit longer
Yeah. And
and
more repetition,
more repetition,
oftentimes with
going
FASD.
back to the basic, because the tendency is to jump to the chronological age
Hmm.
instead of going back and saying, what has this child missed? And
Hmm.
if we just plug those holes and work on those holes that later in life, because we're not just looking at our goal for this year, but we can be looking at the child's life, right? Like later,
Hmm.
like when I'm
Yeah.
working on with the
Yeah.
elementary, I'm thinking about like okay, he met my goal here, but then would he still continue to be in age level by middle school?
Hmm.
So we can't just be like right now. We have to think about what we're helping him build later.
Right. Okay. Well, tell me more about the classes that you offer.
So we offer our main training as a certification program. So we have the books, of course, that anybody can purchase. This is just a home program, which a therapist use it as treatment plan. And our reflex integration through play certification program, we teach service providers, mainly PTs, OTs, parent coaches, and some parents actually come and use their own client,
Hmm.
how to screen, create treatment plan, observe, and
Hmm.
not only create treatment plan, implement and execute, like create home programs for their clients, create school programs. We have done for you home programs and school programs that we've created. We teach them how to use that and
Okay.
implement that. And they use that. We give them treatment assessment tool
Hmm.
that they can use, and they will learn how to use that with the clients that they're working on. So that's our certification. That's our main training that we do. In addition to that, we have for parents just who wants to use a home program, we have a parent bundle, family bundle that we have. Like they come learn. It's all online. Everything is online.
Hmm.
And then they will learn how to use this home programs at home. And each of them have communities. So like our certificate therapists have community. We have monthly Q&A calls. I was just right there though, actually asking, looking at the cases because we want them to implement.
Yeah.
So we have a community for our therapists to do that. We have coaching and mentorship there. And then our parents can do a home program, and then there's people who also want to use school wide. So we have program that's pre-K to all the way to high school. They
Hmm.
implement these activities in the classroom so everybody can get it because what we find is a lot of kids don't qualify for services, but they need intervention. So the idea is like, how can we service everyone?
Yeah.
How can we? So we created a program that the entire school can use or the
Hmm.
entire classroom
That
and
is
made
so
it,
needed. That is
yes,
so needed because I'm just shocked when I see the need and the kiddos on my caseload back when I was in California would only get like 15 minutes a week. It's like, what?
yeah,
That, that's not enough.
it's not. That's why we're doing like that. So it took me a good year of, luckily I got the ability to do that, to
Hmm.
really observe being in the classroom with the teachers and really understanding what are the tools that they have
Yeah.
that they can easily carry over because the teachers are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Last time well, I said like as a parent I understood. So I realized why is it that my treatment plans or my school programs are not being carried out?
Hmm.
So I had to go in and research myself, and then we ended up creating the done for you piece. I'm like, how can we embed? So the solution is like, I wanted to create something that it just flows in that classroom.
Hmm.
Almost like if you want to go deeper and learn, we have the resources, but at
Yeah.
least do these things
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
let me help you embed this. So it will be easier for therapists who go around and consult with schools
Yeah.
to be able to have a tool like that that's ready for them.
Yeah.
So
That's
we have that.
amazing.
Yeah, and then we have additional courses, like I'm doing a visual skill course. This is
Hmm.
something that's personal to me because my kids, I work on visual skills with them. And kids we have, they sometimes they are misdiagnosed even with ADHD because they actually have visual skill challenge. And it's quite
Yeah,
interesting.
I was going to bring that up. We see that oftentimes, and it's not very often diagnosed, right? But cortical visual inhibition? I, I don't know, but issues with the impairment,
Impairment.
cortical visual impairment. If not assisted, then that kiddo will very much look like ADHD.
Yeah. Yeah, there's more research doing. It's quite interesting to see because not only because, but it's even with the therapists we work with, we have like therapists worldwide. And even as a therapist, I notice we so focus on everything else, but we forget the vision, which is 90% of the time we rely on our vision
Hmm.
to do the task. Like we screened everything, but we forgot to look at the vision. It can be affected partly by retained reflex. It can influence directly or indirectly to vision. But some of the things is like that's what we talk about, like in our program too, is like, okay, what's the best treatment approach for this client? Instead of like trying to do multiple things, you're not going anywhere. I'm like, what
Mhm.
is kind of the route? Where should I start
Right,
if
right.
I'm gonna give him the best result faster?
So you said that could be some root, reflexes involved in that. Tell me what that looks like. How are the reflexes involved in the visual problems?
Visual problem. Okay, so so involved in it right now because I'm in the process of creating the course, right? I'm updating it for next week. So it's very interesting because think about it. So when we're crossing the midline, it's easier for us to see. Like if I say like, um, cross the midline and do like cross crawls, we can see disorganized. Like you will see with some of your kids having a hard time touching the opposite knee. That is
Okay,
what's a cross crawl activity
okay.
is. And as much as you tell them, they keep going the same
Hmm.
side. And that tells you what their brain body connection is right there. And
Okay.
similarly, if you do visual tracking and you have them like track something horizontally,
Yeah,
smooth
yeah.
tracking, you see them not being able to track
Cross
or
that midline. Yeah.
it, cross that midline. Their eyes are jumping. So what's telling us, with our vision, we have six muscles around our vision,
Mm,
our eyeballs, right, for each of them. And they have to work together. And they're very small muscles, so they have to be working together to give us all these very visual skill, like being
mhm.
able to focus, looking over, looking far, looking near. And there are muscles, right? And then we know that different reflexes trigger different motor skills too. So even if you're looking at it from a motor movement, you can look at it from movement of the eye muscles and
Yeah.
how they influences that. So for the ATNR, for instance, it will influence horizontal tracking. Partly, there are reflexes like the MOR or the TLR can influence the peripheral vision.
Hmm.
It can be secondary, tertiary symptom because with some of the reflex can be like with the moral, for instance, or the fear paralysis, it makes the child or fight or flight or freeze. So if
Hmm.
you think about it, how your body reacts when you're into freezing mode, you go more like narrow. You're not at that point relaxed and looking at the world. You
Right.
know, you don't
Right.
feel grounded.
Yeah.
So even when I say grounded, there are reflexes that helps with our feet. They're now grounding to feel confident internally to look around. So that is like more of like, peripheral vision. Like I'm safe now, so I
Hmm.
can look. Since
Yeah.
the brain's focus mainly is safety,
Safety first.
security.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if that is not met, and anything else is unnecessary for it,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
if I'm chasing you with something, you're not thinking about like the movie you're gonna watch later. You're like you're focusing on your safety right now. So the
Hmm.
same way.
Hmm.
And you see some of our kids very with high
So,
anxiety, unsafe, and our visual field even will be influenced.
so for kids that are hypersensitive to hearing or visual stimulation
Mhm.
or to just sensory overwhelm in general,
Yeah.
is the fear paralysis triggered much more often? Do
I
you
can
see them withdrawing like that to try and establish safety?
The fear paralysis and the fear paralysis with the movement, you can observe it. And that's very touchy because I
Mhm.
would say, and we talk about it in our program too, is how to treat it. What
Mhm.
is your treatment plan is most important. So you will can be able to observe it with how the body reacts, right, with the fear paralysis, and they will be shut down. This kid can talk, very articulate. They're totally fine, but then you put them in a social and they come in the classroom, they're almost like selective mutism. It's like they're
Yeah.
very and usually is what the parent reports and what you see can look different. I'm like, at home, she's like this. but in the school she's, then
Mm-hmm.
you see the challenge. So you can notice that. I wouldn't suggest doing the same kind of treatment plan I would with the ATNR or the STNR, which I can trigger it and work on it when it comes to reflex pattern that influence the emotion, um, sense of safety. You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
keep triggering that. You almost want to have a more of a holistic approach. Like you need
Mm-hmm.
to work on cognitively, mindset, coaching. There's
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
things you need to have
yeah,
in place and not assume like, let's just do this exercise and it's going to fix it because there's so many things.
right.
Just go hand in hand, like together with the moral. So the kids, some of the things will happen can be like kids who um, get brushed like in the playground or like somebody passed them, they turn around, they just smack the other kid.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, they're kind of seen as aggressive, but for them it's just
They're
like
defensive.
they're so defensive. It's like they
Yeah,
didn't see it coming.
yeah.
So it's like the fight or flight kicks in. That can be like partly like connected a little bit to the moral reflex. Then we
Mm-hmm.
we just don't want to also kind of put them in a box. Like that's why we have to work on our skills. Like we have
Right.
to be able to take them out and do a full screen and be like, what else is
Yeah,
happening?
yeah,
Because they are their own little unique map.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we have to look at that. But you can see how vision is even involved. Like if I see you coming and you come touch me, I'm not responsive. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that the child is easily triggered is they didn't that tells you they didn't see you coming.
Right, right. Okay. Yeah, my mind is just spinning and I just pro I have so many questions. So, at the very beginning, you reminded me, that OT really is for everybody, all ages. What kinds of needs do you often see in adults, where it comes down to maybe reflexes being part of the need?
So I'll tell you about a case study that I worked a client who came to me around maybe in the 60s, college professor.
Hmm.
Um, and found out about his child as he was doing assessment for his own child. He realized, hold up a minute, I have that hard time. I can't do that either. Wait, I can't do that. I'm not that coordinated. And
That's
then,
how I figured out I have FASD.
yeah, you're assessing for your kid. You're like, is it me or is it my child? You
Yeah.
know? So he came to me and his wife actually reached out to me. I'm like, hey, and I said, this was even before I wrote my books, I was like, look, the brain works the same. The brain is the brain.
Mhm.
It's not gonna say like how old are you or whatever. Like if your body cannot do these things,
Yeah.
I can use the same intervention that I use my kids
Yeah.
and with him. So he came to a session. I did the same screening with him. He cannot cross crawl. He cannot do jumping jack. And then so the most I have to do a lot of more intakes. And then I
Mhm.
have to understand like how is this affecting you, your functional skill and activity of daily living now? Because what we do as adult is we compensate
Yes.
a lot. It's just me. It's just this. And then I was like, oh, I do. He starts to understand. I was like,
Mhm.
I've never, as college, like he finally in my session, like after a few weeks, he's like, he did jumping jacks. He's like, I've never, like I've been in high school, I never got to do this. Because it's a very brilliant professor. We're talking about a
Yeah.
professor, dad, and everything. And then another thing too, so I was talking because I have to help him understand. It's like, oh, high anxiety
Mhm.
emerging when he's driving as high anxiety. It's really hard
Mhm.
because that's a visual perception
Yes. Yes, it
and being
is.
able to merge and like
Yeah.
things like that coming in a very busy conferences, people a lot of overwhelm. His
Yeah.
body's not able to process that. It's just
Yeah.
you can see him as he walks in the session. That is just you can see it. Like the body's just not peace.
Yeah.
And then the intervention we did the same things. It's like the brain is the brain. It just needs the same basic basic needs. We all
Yeah.
have the basic needs. And then that's how you see it. It can be
Yeah.
a lot of people learn to compensate. And then as I do it, even friends of mine will tell me like, oh yeah, I can never do that. Like vi visually, I can never track that. I thought it was just my meat thing, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's your brain not being able to communicate or compensating a certain way.
Yeah.
Um, in extreme cases, you will see this is like so this is people like have compensated, learn to live with it, and
Hmm.
kids do the same thing. So as a therapist are is learning to have the skill to
Hmm.
observe. That's when I say like you need to observe how the body and then
Yeah.
give them the tools so that they can, develop better so they can have the social skills. They're not
Yeah.
anxious when they go in a session. And then you're treating other symptoms now instead of like you're treating the, the foundational challenge. And then extreme cases, it can be like stroke. Client was fine, has stroke, brain injury, trauma, and then you see the same thing. You see their
Yeah.
reflex patterns coming in, kicking
Yeah.
in. And then with the rehab, you work on the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
But then in that case, you'll actually see their reflex pattern really kicking in.
Yeah. One of my good friends, the one who turned me on to you, she's in fact the first, and I think I had sent you links to the podcast episodes. The four of us, the FASD meliorists, we had done a two-part discussion on primitive reflexes, and she talked about how it's a habilitative approach to begin with, right? To be able to do things the brain has never done before.
Mhm.
But it took her a long time to get her daughter caught up,
Yeah.
in as many ways as possible. And then life happened.
Yeah.
And there were a number of setbacks. One was a car accident,
Mm.
and she had to start completely over, learning to talk again, learning, I mean, just everything all over again. And when kidney failure also triggered a lot of the same things. So it's really fascinating how these things can go unnoticed by
Yeah.
many professionals. One of the things when I said my mind is racing, I think to, almost every single eye appointment I have, when they're looking, I'm aware of my eyes jumping.
Mm.
And yet no eye doctor has ever said, we should explore that more.
Yeah.
It's never happened.
Vision therapy, it's therapists work on vision skill and it's never too late.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
I
was
I know when I'm tired, this eye goes that way.
yeah.
And I've even seen it when I process some of the videos for the podcast.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at myself and one eye's checked out,
Yeah.
and I had the muscle surgery
Mm.
when I was 3, and I've
Did it
never
help
had
at
it.
all?
Yeah, it did,
Okay.
because this eye was always gone. Now it's just gone when I'm tired. And of course, I've learned that oftentimes you have to have it redone every
Mhm.
so often. I've never had it redone, but maybe I should add that to the list of doing
I know of
things
all
I
the
should do
injury.
before my husband retires.
You should come to my course. I am doing one, getting in depth with it. I told you it's personal because of my kids' vision. One of my idea, the reason too, I end up writing this course, my books, was they needed a vision check because eye teaming problems. Then I was really excited to actually see and encouraged to see the vision therapist was doing reflex work because they were young. They were like 2 or 3, so they
Mm-hmm.
have to work on that to get to the vision. But I really think vision therapy and exercise for our vision because they are muscles,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing a vision therapist will be effective for some
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
There are not, insurance doesn't pay for it. It can be pricey. Totally get it.
Yeah.
But even at least taking like a course or something, few things you can do
Yeah.
even for me as a therapist, I was like, I just want to just fix their eyes. But then I have to remember, well, certain things with certain bodies,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to need to do maintenance. Like
Mm-hmm.
that means we have to constantly do some kind of vision exercise to strengthen our eyes, especially one is
Yeah.
weaker than the other. They have to team together.
Yeah.
But yes, but it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Because
I
otherwise
so
you just get tired so quickly
yeah.
when they're not
I've-
working in conjunction with one another.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It tires the whole body out.
yeah. Because it actually, that's one of the symptoms too we talk about in the vision skill and primitive reflex development is fatigue is one of them. And
Mm-hmm.
then you might misunderstand it to learning challenge, but maybe he's right. Like he can understand things, but then reading is very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So as a therapist to know like what is it that we need to help
Yeah.
this child? Is it the visual thing? Is it motor? Does he
Yeah.
comprehend? Is it auditory? Or is it making it difficult? And I had a friend that for the longest time, she didn't know even her child needed glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was telling me like, oh my gosh, I was so sad to hear. So after she gave him glasses, maybe he was like way older, maybe 6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was in the car. She was telling me, he was like, Mommy, look, that tree has leaves. And
Yeah.
she's like, oh my gosh,
It
all
broke
this
her heart. Yeah.
he did not know. She was like, her heart is breaking as she was
Yes.
driving. I'm like, all this
Yes.
time. He's like, look, and
Yeah.
it gets missed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vision gets mixed. And kids don't know they looking at things clearly because that's all they know. Right?
Yeah.
That's the difficulty thing.
Anything can become normal if you live with it long
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. Nobody's
Yeah.
telling you. They only know that it's different now is when you put the glasses on you, they're like, oh.
Yeah.
And it is hard for a
Yeah.
therapist to screen because it's not visual unless your eyes are like turning
Yeah.
in. It's really difficult for therapists to assess. So that's why we add all these screening
Yeah.
visual skill screening in our
Yeah.
treatment plan.
That is so amazing. And I hope that a lot of people watching this episode will turn to you and
Oh,
sign up for your classes, or read your books. So your website has the bookstore. And
yeah.
are your books also on Amazon, or where else can
Yes.
people find them?
Amazon in the States, we can ship from our website. Like if you
Okay.
order from our website, that's fine. But now shipping is difficult, so we tell everybody to go to Amazon. Makes it
Mm-hmm.
easier whatever
Mm-hmm.
you're at. We have all our books and we have exercise. We have like memory games that we created and
Okay.
movement activities. So you can send that to the parents that they can do. So therapists, usually the people who tend to get our books and get results are specialists, therapists,
Mm-hmm.
OTs, PTs,
Mm-hmm.
and then parents who can implement the
Okay.
activities. There are very, straightforward activities and
Yeah.
they walk you through it. But if a therapist who wants to expand their training and learn actually how to become our certified therapist,
Mm-hmm.
then they can come directly to us and we can train them.
Okay. That'll be awesome. Do you happen to have a copy of your book handy you can hold up?
Oh, okay, hold on. Let's see. I have to reach here. So currently I have 6.
Awesome.
That's
Okay.
it.
All
Six
right.
books. So we cover the sixth book has three reflexes. That's the
Okay.
hand reflexes. And then there's another one coming up soon.
Hand reflexes.
I know, you should do the exercise once for rehab.
Yeah.
I recommend.
Well, seriously, because I'll have to relearn how to use my finger that will no longer bend at the tip.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
it'll
just
make
do,
typing interesting,
yeah.
but it'll still
Movement.
be easier than one hand typing. That's for the birds. I've been trying that this morning. So
Yeah.
no fun.
And look into
Um,
the vision too.
yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
curious because I would love to have adults using it. Because you get feedback right away working with
Mm-hmm.
adults or older kids or
Mm-hmm.
teenagers because we can talk to them and be like, okay, how
Yeah.
does that feel? Or
Yeah.
if you feel dizzy quickly because your eyes are connected to your vestibular, which will
Yes.
influence your balance
Yeah. Yeah.
and
For sure.
stability.
I, okay, yeah, my mind's spinning. We'll have to
Okay,
talk
okay.
after we finish recording.
We're gonna keep talking for a long time. All right, we have to go.
I definitely want to have you back on the show. I think this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad you could join us.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much for the invite.
yeah, so your episode will go out November 3rd,
Okay.
and I will send you copies of everything that you can put on your networks. So,
Sounds good.
all right. Any final words for the audience, Kokeb?
I think just to remember that I think as for therapists is to know that with the short amount of time to always think like for your treatment plan, it's like what is the one thing I can do? That's I use the book. I don't know if you read The One Thing. It's a famous book. It's called The One Thing.
Oh,
It's a really good book. Teaches you like what is the one thing I can do by doing it, everything else
okay.
becomes unnecessary.
Right.
So I kind of do that for treatments all this time. And when I read that, I'm like, this also applies for therapists and what we do,
Yeah.
and being very intentional about what we do with the time that we have
Yeah.
with our clients, thinking about like, what's the one thing I can do that can give me a result, and going back to basics. I
Yeah.
think in the foundation gives them, the easiest result and the fastest
Mhm.
result. Even though it can feel that you're going backwards, it's not necessary. Like really to train our brain to say, like, I have only a few minutes left in my session. What can I do that's going to give my client the most impact? And for the parents to know that you can do little things as a home program to make an impact, and the brain is always learning.
Sorry, my fingers started talking to me.
Oh, oh, the pain. Okay, you need to rest.
Yeah, I think I've had it for today.
Okay, yeah, rest. Thanks for still making the time, even though you just had a surgery.
After the first one, the nerve block lasted for weeks. I just never felt anything, and this time
Okay,
it
take
didn't
some
last at
pain
all.
medication. Some.
This has
All
been
right.
a big surprise, which is not very welcome. And the
Sorry.
shame of it is, it's practice for when they rebuild my back in next month. So,
Yeah.
the joys of getting older. As my mother says, growing old is not for the faint of heart.
All right. I hope
So,
we have a fast recovery. Thank you so
thank
much for the
you.
invite.
All right. All right, everybody, come back again next time for another candid conversation.
All right. Bye.